Hey everyone, Michelle Ferreri here, Member of Parliament for Peterborough Kawartha, and sitting just outside West Block, and through these doors and in this building is the House of Commons, where we sit in Parliament as members of Parliament and fight for Canadians, work as a democracy to bring balance and hopefully serve the greatest good. I am a Conservative Member of Parliament, which means I'm in opposition. And we're just outside Center Block, so you can probably pan around and see there. That's the main lawn, and the construction on Center Block is not yet done. So later tonight, it is, what date is it today? It's June 21st, and later tonight the House will rise. What does that mean? It means that the House will rise for the summer session. So we are in Parliament for 29 weeks. And what happens, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a bit of a year in review of what I have worked on as your Member of Parliament for Peterborough Kawartha, as critic to families, children and social development as well. But it also, I want to explain what that means. So when the House rises, a lot of people say, oh, it must be nice, you have the summer off. No. So members of Parliament basically have two full-time jobs. We have our job here in Ottawa on Parliament Hill to sit in the House of Commons and do all of our parliamentarian work, which includes committee work, which includes inside the House of Commons. Then we have our constituency, our communities. So mine is Peterborough Kawartha. So I represent 114,000 people, and we have to meet the needs on any federal issues that they have. So in the summer, we have to go home because we have to listen to you. We have to attend events. We have to learn and meet with the people that we weren't able to meet in the 29 weeks that we were sitting here. And for a lot of members of Parliament, I'm quite fortunate. I'm 3 hours west of Ottawa. I can get in my car and I can go home. But for many members of Parliament, especially those with really young children or family, they have to travel every week on planes, trains, automobiles to get here. It's a grueling experience, the travel, the time change for a lot of them. So the summer is a really important time, quite frankly, to be with your family, hopefully a little bit more, and hopefully they'll remember who you are. But it's really important to connect with your community. So I'll be attending community events all throughout the summer, hosting events, which, by the way, this coming Sunday, if you're in Peterborough Kawartha, come out to Rogers Cove. We'll see you there. We're having a Canada Day event. But on to the point of what I want to do in this video. So what have we done in this session in the 29 weeks? And I want to tell you I work on two committees. So I sit on two committees, which means I sit on the HUMA committee, which is the Human Resources Committee. And some of the work that we did in the HUMA committee was we did Bill C-22, which is the Canada Disability Benefit Act, which passed. We studied labor shortages, working conditions, and care economy. We studied supporting Black Canadian Communities Initiative. We obviously questioned many ministers, and the Minister of Housing and the Minister of Employment, and I got a chance to do a lot of questioning to the Housing Minister around CMHC and a lot of issues that are impacting Peterborough Kawartha and around the country. But the big, and the National Housing Strategy, one of the big bills I worked on in HUMA was the Bill C-35, which is the child care bill. And it was a great honor and privilege to elevate the voices of parents and operators who feel very left out by this bill. And so we were able to bring a lot of those issues and a lot of the gaps of the bill to committee and bring forth witnesses to testify to showcase what is missing. Interventions in the chamber I had from September to now is 199. I might make it to 200 if I get up and stand tonight in one of the interventions. Interventions in committee 421. The one thing that really happened that is really, I'm very, very proud of, that happened in HUMA committee is we have what's called the Centennial Flame Award that we decide who wins through HUMA committee. Now, if the camera just pans over, you'll see the Centennial Flame right in the center, right over, I don't know if you can see it there, you can see there's people, little flame, it's kind of hard, there's a lot of people there. But people put money in the flame, and that flame goes into a fund, and it's called the Centennial Flame Award, and it is awarded to somebody who applies for the award with a disability, and that is going toward a research project. I was very, very proud that someone from my community, Rachel Quilty, who organizes Capable Con, who works with the Council of Persons with Disabilities, won that award. That felt really amazing, and I know how valuable Capable Con is to our community, so I was very proud of that work to be able to have that. We worked really hard on removing the Arrive Can app. That was something else really proud about. In FIWO, which is our status of women, we did some incredible work on that committee as well. Bill C-233, or Kira's Law, as many people know, this was a very important bill that was passed, and it amends the Criminal Code and the Judges Act, violence against an intimate partner. And this was a really powerful bill, a very emotional bill, in regard to a little girl who lost her life at the hands of her dad. And her mother, Jennifer, had fought tirelessly to amend this so that judges had more information and more tools and education and knowledge to have proper sentencing and restrictions on those who pose a threat. And it was a very powerful bill, so very proud of that. We did a lot of questioning to the Minister for Women and Gender Equality. I did a lot of questioning around the Mental Health Transfer Fund that has since now been gone, the $4.5 billion, and never got any answers on that, but definitely elevated that voice. We did a study on intimate partner and domestic violence in Canada. We did resource development and violence against Indigenous women and girls. And we did women and girls in sport. We did human trafficking. We're still waiting on that report to be finalized, but we did that study. The thing that I think I'm most proud of that happened in Status of Women is our report on mental health of young women and girls. And for those of you who follow me, mental health is probably the thing I'm most passionate about. And I was able to bring forth some witnesses that I know personally and was able to get their recommendations into this report on the record. Dr. Stuart Shanker, when we talk about self-regulation of our children, self-regulation of frontline workers, Colonel, former retired Colonel, Dr. Rakesh Jetley, when we talk about the wait times for teenagers. He was the chief psychiatrist of the Canadian Forces, and I worked with him long before I was elected. So to have some of these testimony come forward and to be on the record in written report, very, very valuable work when we look at recommendations to the House of what we can do better to protect our young kids and their mental health, their parents, the support workers. This is a huge, huge issue, and we were able to get some really good testimony and recommendations through that. In terms of what we did in the House, I spoke a lot. I spoke a lot in the House this session. As I said, there were 199 interventions. That means I spoke 199 times. Some of the bills I spoke on that I'm, really, there's so many. There's a really long list here. Bill C-35, obviously childcare. Bill C-311. Bill C-18. C-18 was the one I spoke on yesterday when we look at big tech sort of stepping in and trying to rescue legacy media. Bill C-321, which just passed a few moments ago in the House with going on to second reading, which is assault against healthcare workers and first responders. Bill C-11, we voted that down, but it did pass, but we still stood up against the government, regulating social media platforms and streaming services. I spoke on Bill C-39, made for people with mental illness, obviously not in support of that. Missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and calling for a red dress alert. Spoke on Bill C-29, National Council for Reconciliation. Bill C-30, the cost of living. Bill C-233, which I talked to you earlier about, which was violence against an intimate partner, or Kira's Law. Bill C-22, the disability benefit. Bill C-21, firearms and standing up for our law-abiding firearms owners and sport shooters. Bill C-30 to amend the Income Tax Act. Budget 2023 and fighting for you to have a better cost of living. The opioid crisis, spoke a lot on this. Justice reform, I questioned the housing minister a lot. Removing the tax for mental health counseling and psychotherapy. Scrap of the tripling of the carbon tax. And Selena Taylor, I spoke on behalf of her and her family. Selena was tragically murdered in my community, and violent repeat offenders are just continually getting out on bail instead of doing jail. And here comes a human. Come right through. We're just shooting a video. You're okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. So we have a lot of meetings and events we also hosted as well.
And the speaker's going to be coming out there in another 3 minutes.
Okay, we're almost wrapped up. Thank you so much.
Well, I just don't want you to be surprised.
That's okay. So lots of events, lots of things we spoke on, and lots of things we did locally as well in our community. Obviously passports and the list. I'm going to share a lot of this of what we did and the meetings that I had and was able to still have in Peterborough to stand up for everybody. I think the thing that resonates, that's freshest in my mind right now, is asking and demanding the Public Safety Minister, Marco Mendicino, to resign. The reality is there is no line in the sand of accountability, and it comes from the top down from this Prime Minister, and it is clearly on his ministers. And, you know, Jody Wilson-Raybould was gone. Is it a gender thing for this Prime Minister? Based on what I've witnessed, probably. You know, in the Conservative caucus, we had a minister who was fired for ordering orange juice that was too expensive. There was accountability. There is accountability with the Conservative government. There isn't any with the Liberals. And what happened with Paul Bernardo and his transfer from maximum to medium security, and this Public Safety Minister knowing for 3 months and doing nothing, and the Prime Minister knowing and doing nothing, and we will continue to call for his resignation. The victims, Christian French's family or friends have reached out to me personally to thank me, and to all my colleagues who've stood up and asked for Marco to resign. And that is why we're here. You know, it is really important in opposition that we hold the line and we hold them to account. And I know sometimes people think it sounds like we're constantly arguing and bickering, but that's what we have to do. That is the role of opposition, and we have to restore balance. People are struggling. They can't afford food, they can't afford housing. Public safety is rapidly declining. Mental health is rapidly declining. Addictions. There's no treatment and recovery in this country. There's no national strategy. And children's mental health is at the core of all of this, because when their parents are stressed and the financial stress is out there, that's what's going to happen. It's going to bleed down to our kids, and it's impacting them. So I will share a summary. I want to thank, and I also want to say the total funding brought to the riding since elected in 2021 is $49,262,754.23 was brought to Peterborough Kawartha. So I also wanted to point that out, and I'll share a lot of this on the website. And I just would be amiss if I didn't thank all the people who help me, because I need a support system around me to be here, and a lot of that is you. When you send positive messages, when you send hard questions, when you send good feedback, the staff I work with is unbelievable, and I just want to thank them because they help hold all of this up. But there's a whole community too. Like this morning, I had to phone my neighbor and ask her to go knock on my door to wake up my kids because the phone wasn't working. My mother, my dad, my brother, my sister, my extended family, Ryan, my partner. This is a big thing for everybody around us, and we have to keep going. And so if somebody says to you, MPs get the summer off, we don't. And that's not how we're wired. We don't want the summer off. We work, we serve because we love what we do. We believe in what we do, and we keep fighting because we get messages like from Kristen French's friends and tell us to keep going. And that is why we do what we do. And on that note, there is Mr. Speaker.
Hi there. How
Mr.
are
Anthony
you?
Rhoda. I'm just doing a live video summary of my year.
I just want to remind everyone there's no loitering on the speakers today.
Thank you, sir.
So what are you doing?
I'm doing
everybody?
a year in review of all
Fantastic.
the work I've done, and this just seemed like a nice little quiet spot.
I'll get out of your way and let you continue.
You know what? I bet you will enjoy. I was just explaining to people think MPs get the summers off, and I said that's not at all
we work
what
in
happens.
the riding as opposed to being
We have
in
2
Ottawa.
full-time jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the speaker gets to get.
2 time and a half jobs, I think is.
I think it's more like 100 sometimes
Yeah.
full-time jobs, and we've been making you work these last.
It's been an interesting ride,
Yeah.
let me tell you.
Well, we're glad that the Peterborough Petes beat you regardless.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Take
Mr.
care.
Speaker. We'll see you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that really sums it up. You know, I think a lot of people don't know how much we do have to work alongside. He's a Liberal. He's a Liberal MP now. As Speaker, he has to be nonpartisan. But we do work across party lines. When you look at FIWO and working with, my colleague from the NDP and murdered and missing Indigenous women. But at the core of it, we are Conservative. We want to form a Conservative government because that's the way we are going to change the trajectory of this country. And so we need you to get involved. We need you to get out there, help us. You know, this summer I have a lot of work to do because I don't know when an election is coming. So, you know, if you can help out, if you want to help out, you want to be part of this, I would love to have you. But I just want to say, you know what, it's been a year full of hard work, and it is a tough time politically right now. But you know what, anything worth doing is never easy. That's why we do it. thank you for joining me. Thank you. If you have any questions or any comments, I didn't even see, was there any key questions or comments? Nothing? Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Look forward to working with you. If you need anything from Peterborough Kawartha, don't hesitate to reach out to my office. We're happy to help anytime. And if you're around this coming Sunday, June 25th, I believe it is, we're at Rogers Cove having a summer fest. So we'll be having a party, bring the kids, and it'll be great to see you. Thanks so much.